Welcome to Random Product Critic, a channel about critiquing anything that can be bought.
This video we're taking a look at the Kraken X61 liquid cooler by NZXT. You'll have to excuse me if it's a little bit jumpy. I already have this installed in my machine, so I'll just kind of give you an overview and give you as best of pictures as I can. So this is one of their newest liquid coolers. This is the 280 millimeter. So it's a little bit big. To give you an idea of size, let me hold up my original cooler that came with the processor. So this is a basic size here for a regular cooler. I've got an 8-core AMD processor, so a little bit heftier than some of the other ones you might get. And to give you an idea of what that size is, here's one of the mounting brackets for this NZXT. So you can see it's about the same size as this fan here, as far as diameter. So it's pretty good sized. The 280 millimeter, it is pretty big. The two fans and the radiator fit in this box right here, so you can kind of see it's significantly bigger. As far as kind of overall packaging, it just comes in this kind of corrugated box. You'll get your radiator here, the actual cooling unit here. It has thermal paste already applied. You have two fans available that are mounted on there. There's some brief instructions over here. And it is supposed to mount on just about anything, so it's got a whole bunch of screws that it comes with for Intel and AMD processors and various types of motherboards. So let's give you a look at the actual piece of equipment. I'll just pan over to my PC here. So taking a look at the top of the PC, I've got mine installed so it's sucking inward, and I've got the radiator installed on top here, and then underneath I've got the two fans directly underneath. So here's the radiator. You can see it's pretty good sized. There's the overall tower, and it's pretty good size, so you'll definitely want to measure your case first. I measured, for the most part. The only piece that I had a trouble with this case was that hole right there. I ended up having to break the little mounting bracket off so it would fit in my case. So you'll definitely want to make sure to measure really well. Okay, skip the video a little bit so I could pull off the case side, give us a good view of this. So right here you can see the actual cooler. You can change this LED to pretty much any color you want. You can have it blink or do kind of the strobing effect, or you can turn it off, obviously, if you don't want to have that on there. You can see the two hoses coming right out of there. So they come down and they'll go up into the side of the cooler. It's a little bit dark, so you can't really see it. It goes right into that radiator, and then you can see right underneath here we've got our two fans, and they're both 140 millimeter fans, so they're pretty big. To give you an idea of why they're so big, the X61 touts that it's one of the quietest liquid coolers on the market. So the pump on this cooler is very quiet, and these fans are almost inaudible at all times. I'll jump to another part of the video a little bit later, and we'll actually look at some load tests, and you'll notice that there's just no sound that comes from this machine. Right now it's probably about a 26 to 30% load on this 8-core processor, and we're running our fans at about 25% at most. You can configure the fans to run however you want. I've got mine on a pretty medium level where it's going to be silent and cool really well. You can put this whole thing under load for quite a while, and it's still just extremely quiet. Even when I'm at 100% load for an hour or two, you can tell it's on. Like the fans are up a little bit, so you can tell they're going, but overall it's very inaudible. You just can't tell that it's actually cooling really well. Another cool feature is that it has a variable pump, so that makes it even quieter. And when you have this under load and you need to cool it back to a regular state, let's say you take it off of load, I've measured several times, it takes 10 seconds or less to get it down to back down to 30 degrees or so from 100% load. So it cools it extremely efficiently. And let me just kind of stick my finger in here too, so you have a reference for size. So there's one of the hoses. It's not too big. There are two of them for your intake and outtake. Here's the actual processor. I'll try not to touch anything, but you can see widthwise it's about one finger length there. You can see the mounting brackets for the AMD. They come with 2 or 3 different mounting brackets, so they should fit just about any motherboard. Overall, very happy with this purchase, and it's been really good, especially for gamers who like to have quiet thing and really good cooling, or even 3D modeling or anything that's going to be kind of processor intensive. Very good overall. The next competitor that seemed like it was closest for sound and performance is one of the Noctua. I think it was a D12 or something similar, one of the newest ones for Noctua. And overall they perform about the same. The only difference is this one's an external cooler with the 2 fans blowing outwards of the case or inwards, whereas the Noctua one, it's the whole full-blown cooler right inside the case. So you're gonna, depending on your needs, you can kind of pick either one. They're gonna perform really similarly. I like this one because you don't have so many fans inside the case, and you don't have to rely on chassis fans nearly as much as you would for one that's just completely inside of the tower. Just another thing to note, it does require your 2 different fan connections for power sources. It also requires a couple extra connections coming directly out of the pump. So you can see, kind of see 2 wires coming out of here, and all of those, can be connected with a couple different adapters and whatnot. But you should be able to get them all directly on the motherboard, unless you're overpacking your case with stuff. For example, I've got 3 chassis fans. I've got 2 over in the back corner here. I've got 2 in there, and then the 1 exhaust right here. So overall, there's 5 fans going in this case, and there's still, it still fits really well. You can see how clean and open. Let me zoom out here so you can see it's really clean and open. It saves a lot of space. So really nice overall. So we'll jump into the actual performance on a screenshot so you can kind of see how that works next.
Over to my screen here, and this is the software that comes with the Kraken. They call it CAM, and it's identified by this little robot head. Basically, the CAM software is something to kind of manage all your CPU settings and the Kraken settings in general. So this is the dashboard. Kind of gives us our overall CPU temperature, load, some graphics information as well, which should be a little bit higher. And it also shows you the current liquid temperature and our current fan speed. So right now I've got a pretty low load. My room in general is a little bit hot. That's why these temperatures are a little higher. If I was to do this in a cooler room or have an air conditioning on, these would go down significantly. typically this is around 26 to 30 on an average, no load use. Right now it's going to be a little bit more also because I'm recording, and we're going to do some load tests anyway to see how well it performs. So just with the current recording and about 35% load, here's how much sound you get. So let me move my microphone close to the machine and you can tell for yourself how loud it is. So you may have been able to hear some fan noise. Overall it's really quiet. You can't hear the pump noise at all. So let me run a load test here. Just open up software's Prime 31 that I like, or Prime 95 that I like to use. Just a free prime number test that allows you to do some load testing. Okay, so I'm going to on my other screen here. Okay, so Prime 95, it's going to run, right now I've just got a 8 workers, going to run my CPU at 100%. So you can see the CPU says it's 100% and it's only 40 degrees about. That's extremely good, especially compared to my old fan, internal fan. At 100% load, it would be shooting up to 70 or 75 almost instantly, and the fan was just unbearably loud. So let me put the microphone next to this CPU again in the same spot, and you'll notice it's slightly louder, but it's still really quiet. So not sure how well that actually records, but overall it's really quiet. I can barely hear it still, unless I've got my head pretty close to it. So I'm just going to let that run for a minute, let it kind of heat up and see what happens, and we'll come back to it. So some other features of this CAM software: it does have some specifications, list out your GPU, your CPU. So there's my 8-core FX AMD. It's got some other nice information to kind of look at. Your Kraken tab or button here is going to be the bulk of your settings. You're going to set your LED color. You can select some predefined modes. So they have silent and performance. I created this mixed one, which is it's fairly silent up until about this point, 45% fan speed at 40 degrees Celsius. So I mean, right now that's a full load and it's only at 45%. And we'll hear it get a little bit louder as it gets warmer. I don't think we will see it ever get up to 100% fan speed on this mixed mode. Then there's also some settings. You can log in and sync this software to your phone or into a server, and you can download an app and see your computer at any time. So if you're running your machine as a server like mine, you can view kind of the load at any point and other information. So really good piece of software, pretty useful. It does have notifications if you need it, and some other interesting settings. So now that it's had a chance to warm up, let's hop back onto the dashboard. We're still at 100% load. It is a little bit warmer, but we still haven't gotten too hot or anything. So it's just slightly louder. Let me put the mic by the fan again. So can't hear that still. It's still really quiet. I can tell the fans are going, but I think the majority of that is actually my chassis fan. You can also see the pump is kind of more active now, but the fans relatively aren't going super fast. And overall, it's keeping very cool. Like here's 45 degrees for a CPU at 100% load is just unheard of. Now that I'm going to stop the load test, and you'll see how fast it goes back to normal temperature as well. So let's end this test here. Stop all our workers. Okay, and you can see how fast this is dropping already. We should be within just a few seconds getting down to a regular load that we started at 30%, and you can see we're already dropped to about 37 right now. Give that a few more seconds, it'll be down to normal temperature that we started at. Again, I am in a little bit hotter room, so it's going to be a little warmer than your typical use. So what's also nice is you can kind of view some graphs here. They've got some interesting graphs you can take a look at for speed and load. They have all the different voltages. There's your different chassis fans and things. It even has load graphs for RAM. So it's a really complex tool, and it's completely free. And again, it does sync, so you can view on your mobile app anytime you want, as long as the computer's on and logged in. So overall, really good app, and just loving this. I'm absolutely loving this liquid cooler. I've always been stuck with kind of the fan coolers and thought I'd pay a little bit more, and I think this one maybe about $120, $130, but it's definitely worth it. I haven't had any temperature crashes, any problems. It's been a really great tool. So I'm going to also hop onto their webpage just so you can kind of get an idea of what they have here. So one second. Okay, so there's different sizes of the Kraken. The one I have is the biggest one. It's your 280 millimeter. They have some other Krakens available that are a little bit smaller and meet different needs. So here's kind of the website. $140, black, and just has some good pictures, downloads. Has your installation video, some specifications, and just some overall good pictures. Again, thermal paste is already applied, so you don't have to worry about that. And overall, just very, very happy with it. Quite quiet, works really well, and it looks good. It's not a mess like some of these other coolers that you might see, especially for the size and for how quiet it is. So again, that's the NZXT Kraken X61 280 millimeter liquid cooler, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you liked our video, please subscribe. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, as well as share with others that may find this video interesting. If you'd like to make a request, click the link below in the description, and also feel free to take a look at some of our other random product videos.